This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. No one has all the answers, and therapy can be a place to gain unbiased support. BetterHelp makes it easy to get matched online with a qualified therapist. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/super. That's betterhelp.com/super. Let's talk about Dumbledore's drinking problem. Hey, brother! Okay, there's no beating around the bush. Let's just get right to it. Dumbledore has a drinking problem, and that is that he has nobody to drink with. This is one of those weird facts that you never quite notice about the series, but is always quietly present. And once you're aware of it, it really starts to stand out in a very peculiar way. Because why won't anyone ever have a drink with old Albus? I mean, he's easily one of the most hospitable characters in the entire series, probably only behind Mrs. Weasley, and is constantly offering people drinks or nightcaps, and yet it never comes to fruition. Is it just mere coincidence? Is it bad timing on Dumbledore's part? Is he simply choosing bad company for drinks? Or is there something more sinister at work? Which I know that may sound odd, and yet there is another curse in play that originates from what I believe is the exact same moment. So today we get to the bottom of Dumbledore's drinking problem. One of the curiosities of Dumbledore to me is his affinity for a good drink, because he doesn't seem like someone who would indulge much in alcohol, but we know he has a favorite drink, Madame Rosemerta's finest oak-matured mead, and then his brother is the bartender at the Hogshead, and he even tells Harry, "That I am off into Hogsmeade for a drink," said Dumbledore lightly. "I sometimes offer Rosemerta my custom, or else visit the Hogshead, or I appear to. It is as good a way as any of disguising one's true destination." But even the way he phrases that makes it seem like he's going to the Three Broomsticks by himself, which is not to say he might not be conversing with Rosemerta while he's having a drink, but if she's working, I doubt she's having one too. But we're getting way ahead of ourselves. We first noticed Dumbledore's yearning for a good old drink in Prisoner of Azkaban after Harry and Hermione have traveled back in time and rescued Buckbeak, and Dumbledore is outside relishing in the Hippogriff's freedoms.
Well, search the skies if you must, Minister. Meanwhile, I'd like a nice cup of tea or a large brandy.
Notice the phrasing. It's either a regular cup of tea or a large brandy. It's like, yes, let's have a polite cuppa, if you will, Hagrid. Or, you guys down to party? You guys want to start that? You guys want drinks flowing? Hagrid, how much you got? And here's the thing. Which of the two drinks they end up having remains a mystery, although it is my firm belief that this entire suggestion is just a distractionary tactic so that nobody continues investigating where Buckbeak may have gotten to.
Oh, Executioner, your services are no longer required.
But that said, I think it's most likely that they had the tea, as shortly after this, Dumbledore, McNair, Fudge, and the other Ministry oversight guy exit, and none of them seem even remotely tipsy leaving the house, nor at any other point in the evening, and we will continue to check in on them. Plus, I heavily suspect that Buckbeak's disappearance tips Dumbledore off that some kind of shenanigans are in play, and that he may well need to be clear-headed for the rest of the night. Like, he walks out there and is like, "Oh, I bet Harry had something to do with this. And I bet I helped. I don't know how yet, but..."
Thank you.
Plus, after the first four leave, Hagrid himself emerges from the hut, and he, conversely, is quite tipsy. And if whatever is in the bottle he's carrying is strong enough to get Hagrid that drunk that fast, I think it would have knocked the other four on their butts.
I shouldn't have told you that.
Moving on to Goblet of Fire, though, Dumbledore is at it again after the four champions have been chosen. Right after this moment, "Harry is a Goblet of Fire. You'll come have a drink before you go, at least," said Dumbledore. "Come on, Barty, I'm staying," said Bagman brightly. "I think not, Ludo," said Crouch. "Professor Karkaroff, Madame Maxime, a nightcap," said Dumbledore. But Madame Maxime had already put her arm around Fleur's shoulders and was leading her swiftly out of the room. Karkaroff beckoned to Crumb, and they too exited, though in silence. Ah, shucks, denied again. Nobody wants to have a drink with Dumbledore. Not that he won't have another go at it later this year, because, after all, it is rumored that he purchased 800 barrels of Madame Rosemerta's mulled mead for the Yule Ball, which frankly is an absolutely extortionate amount. I mean, there are fewer than 800 people going to the ball in the first place. I mean, now granted, that rumor's not true, but we know butterbeer is present at the ball. And again, we fail to see Dumbledore drink with anyone, though he does have a nice conversation about chamber pots with Karkaroff, so, you know. Now, with that said, I know some of you are going to be quick to point out that at the end of Goblet of Fire, Dumbledore does in fact lead a toast to Cedric Diggory in the Great Hall, which, if you ask me, it didn't really seem like a time for jokes or anything, but you know, that's Dumbledore for you. In any case, despite this happening, I do not count it towards Dumbledore having a drink with someone, because leading a toast is just not the same as like sitting down with another person to have drinks. Then our next big example won't come until Half-Blood Prince, where Dumbledore arrives at the Dursleys to pick up Harry and has one of the best passive-aggressive exchanges ever conceived, where he pours the family some oak-matured mead, and rather than drink them, the Dursleys just sit there as the drink slowly wrap them on the side of the head, with Dumbledore eventually saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry," said Dumbledore politely, and he raised his wand again. All 3 glasses vanished. But it would have been better manners to drink it, you know. Oh, got him! No, but interestingly, even though this is the first time Dumbledore is having a drink in this book, it is actually part of a larger pattern across the first 4 chapters of Half-Blood Prince, which is the presence of drinks, which also ends up being a big motif for just the entire book. First, in The Other Minister, Fudge offers the Muggle Prime Minister a whiskey. Then in Spinner's End, Snape, Bellatrix, and Narcissa all have elf-made wine together. Then Dumbledore goes to the Dursleys, and then Dumbledore, Harry, and Slughorn all have a drink. Or do they? "Humph," he said, looking away quickly as though frightened of hurting his eyes. "Here." He gave a drink to Dumbledore, who had sat down without invitation, thrust the tray at Harry, and then sank into the cushions of the repaired sofa in a disgruntled silence. That's Slughorn first pouring and then passing out the drinks. But despite everyone taking a drink, there's not a single mention of anyone in the room actually taking a sip or even bringing their glasses to their mouths or anything at all. Mostly, Dumbledore is just sitting there, calmly waiting for Harry to join the conversation, and then as soon as he does, promptly takes an extended trip to the bathroom to, read up on knitting patterns.
I do love knitting patterns.
After which, he and Harry promptly leave. And then the drink motif will continue. Ron will later drink the poison mead, Harry will get Slughorn drunk, and Dumbledore will of course have his final drink, the drink of despair. Which I think is the point of this particular theme in this book all along, and the point of Dumbledore's failure to be able to drink with anyone the whole time, because in the end, Harry is unable to share the burden with Dumbledore to empty the basin, and Dumbledore is left too weak to defend himself against Draco upon their return. But so why is this happening at all? Why can't Dumbledore get a drink with anyone? Like, is he cursed? And I think yes. And I think I know exactly when it happens, which is when Voldemort returns to the school to interview for the Defense Against the Dark Arts job. "May I offer you a drink?" "That would be welcome," said Voldemort. "I have come a long way." Dumbledore stood and swept over to the cabinet, where he now kept the pensive, but which then was full of bottles. Having handed Voldemort a goblet of wine and poured one for himself, he returned to the seat behind the desk. "So, Tom, to what do I owe the pleasure?" Voldemort did not answer at once, but merely sipped his wine. And then later, Dumbledore set down his empty glass and drew himself up in his seat, the tips of his fingers together in a very characteristic gesture. Yeah, it's with Voldemort. And this is the only time Dumbledore successfully has a drink with another person in the entire story, where we can definitively say that both parties partook in the drinking and Dumbledore even finishes his glass. Now, obviously, the most notable thing that happens as a result of this meeting is that the Defense Against the Dark Arts job is cursed and they can't keep anyone in the post for more than a year. And Tom hides the diadem. But his third bit of skullduggery is cursing Dumbledore to a life of lonely drinks, which eventually leads him to the loneliest drink of all in the cave. Bet Voldemort didn't factor on that, did he? Boy, that was a clunky segue into the sponsor, who we do need to thank though, and who today is Factor. Let me know if this sounds familiar. You did a great job making healthy buying decisions at the store, but now it's 5 o'clock on a Wednesday, you just got home from work, you're exhausted, and you want to make that healthy choice, but you've got one kid you need to get to lacrosse practice, and another to t-ball, and you need to figure out how to entertain the third one in the meantime. And all of a sudden, all of your best intentions go right out the window as you parent your butt off. Not speaking from experience or anything. See, for me, eating healthy is as much of a setup problem as it is willpower. Until I found Factor, because their meals are fully prepared and designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs and are delivered right to your door, meaning you can follow through on all of your goals without having any planning your grocery runs or cooking. Like, my personal nutrition goals for 2026 have been to focus on high protein and lots of fruits and vegetables. And one of my favorite meals has been the creamy lemon pepper chicken, which tastes great and accomplishes everything I want. But whatever your goals are, Factor has you covered, whether that's weight loss, overall nutrition, GLP-1 support, or for like strength and workout recovery, you can check out Factor's Muscle Pro collection. Plus, you're never gonna get bored because Factor offers over 100 rotating weekly meals, including globally inspired flavors like Mediterranean and Asian, so there's always something new to be looking forward to. Personally, I've really enjoyed Factor, and I think you will too, so head to factormeals.com/super50off and use code super50off to get 50% off and free daily greens per box with new subscription only while supplies last until September 27, 2026. See website for more details, link in the description down below. But in the meantime, there are also other ramifications and odd moments along the way. For example, I'm sure several of you have already raced to your keyboards in the comments to let me know that at the Dursleys, Harry does in fact drink some of the mead. Madame Rosmerta's finest oak-matured mead, said Dumbledore, raising his glass to Harry, who caught hold of his own and sipped. He had never tasted anything like it before, but enjoyed it immensely. First of all, bravo, wonderful memory, you guys, but second of all,
you triggered my trap card!
Ha ha ha! I knew you'd remember the scene, Yugi, and I prepared for it. You see, even though Harry drinks with Dumbledore in the scene, it doesn't count because Harry Potter is a Horcrux, and therefore Dumbledore is still drinking with Voldemort.
No, not that trap!
Sorry, I didn't mean to go full anime on you guys there for a second. Yeah, so I think this one actually slips through the cracks because of the tiny bit of soul inside of Harry. Although ironically, when I first started looking at this idea, I thought maybe this scene was Harry breaking the curse as only he could, and yet there are just other situations that happen after this one, such as the aforementioned trip to recruit Slughorn, that sort of continue to pop up, so I don't think Harry's breaking the curse or anything. But speaking of Slughorn, Dumbledore also sets Harry on a mission this year to collect a very specific memory from Slughorn, something he is sure that only Harry can do. Which to Harry's credit, he does, but really, Dumbledore doesn't have any other options either. Harry is the one who has to do it because it has to do with Horcruxes, and nobody else can know about the Horcruxes. And if you recall, the solution to getting this memory is just to get Slughorn drunk.
I once had a fish. Francis is...
Now be honest, what name did you hear him say for his goldfish? Because personally, I heard trousers. But I know that's not right. But are you telling me that Dumbledore couldn't do that himself or think of that himself? No, actually what's happening is I'm telling you, he literally cannot do that himself because he's cursed. But we're not done with Slughorn yet either, because as usual, Voldemort's curses end up backfiring on him, and so it is with this one as well. Because as I'm sure you remember, Draco's mission this year is to, kill Dumbledore, and one of his early attempts to do this is to get Slughorn to gift Dumbledore some poison mead, something that Slughorn just, totally fails to do. I've got butterbeer, I've got wine, I've got one last bottle of this oak-matured mead. Meant to give that to Dumbledore for Christmas. Ah, well, he shrugged. He can't miss what he's never had. Now, we the reader, of course, just interpret this as Slughorn being too greedy to give up such a good gift. But I think this may be the curse at play again, because if Slughorn gave it to Dumbledore, then they'd have certainly just shared some of it, which, of course, Dumbledore is incapable of doing, so it just slips Slughorn's mind. And thus, a plan that might have killed two of Voldemort's most important adversaries and removed any hope of Harry ever learning the amount of Horcruxes he'd made is thwarted by his own curse. And all of this leads to the final drink Dumbledore has in the cave, which he must endure alone. And it seems Voldemort's very long con, his arrow into the future, has paid off in an unexpected way, resulting in Dumbledore's death. And yet, as usual, it's not true, because Snape, who comes to finish Dumbledore off, is not working for Voldemort, because Voldemort lost his allegiance when he killed Lily Potter. Coincidentally, another curse that backfired on himself. And if you're not sold on this theory yet, note this as well. Both curses set into action when Dumbledore refuses Tom Riddle the job resolve at the exact same moment, with Snape killing Dumbledore.
Please. Avada Kedavra.
Because Dumbledore's death marks the end of the drinking curse, while Snape's murder of Dumbledore ends the Defense Against the Dark Arts curse, as they no longer even teach Defense Against the Dark Arts after that year, and then when it's reinstated, the curse has been lifted. Now, ironically, there is yet another scene where Dumbledore could have had a drink before the curse was in place, but he misses out. And it's when he visits Wool's orphanage and is chatting with Mrs. Cole, who pours each of them a glass of gin, which Dumbledore just never drinks. But Mrs. Cole does. Poor Dumbledore.
Let me see that.
Guys, thanks for watching, liking, and subscribing. If you didn't know, we have a podcast called Through the Gryffindor where we do a chapter-by-chapter analysis of the entire Harry Potter series. And going through the series with this fine-tooth comb is where we first noticed that Dumbledore is failing to have a drinks with people over and over and over. So if you want that kind of analysis and haven't checked out the podcast, you can do so right over here. We are just about to start Half-Blood Prince, so it's a really good time to jump in and check it out. Thanks in advance for doing so. But otherwise, don't forget ducks. They go in cups.
Yeah!